Hello again everyone, and welcome back to Skyblock News. I'm your host Derailious, and today we'll be going over Skyblock Update 0.21.1, which includes the Experimentation Table RNG meter, among other changes. Before we begin, I just want to say, please make sure to like and subscribe down below if you enjoyed the video, and use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order. Without any further ado, let's get started. Starting off today, we will begin on the Hypixel forums where they talk about what is included in this update, and notably there is the Experimentation Table RNG meter, the abandoned quarry, and a small pest patch. It's a pretty varied update, so they have different spoiler tabs for pretty much everything they're talking about. We'll also be going in-game to discuss some of these features. To start off with the Experimentation Table RNG meter, it has been added to the game, and players have been given 10% divided by 1,000 of their enchanting XP as retroactive progress. You basically can divide your enchanting XP by 10,000. I don't know why they talked about it like this. The meter contains all rare and ultra rare books, as well as physical items, such as the metaphysical serum. They've also adjusted all rare and ultra rare books to now have 5 weight in their respective loot tables. They removed some of the basic and advanced books from the experimentation table and replaced them with various amounts of enchanting XP, and also the amount that you get at the end of the minigame has been reduced to account for this. They've also basically moved a few things around, so Bane of Arthropods, Critical, Thunderlord, Vampirism, and Lethality have been just kind of moved around in terms of where they need to be in the loot pool, which I guess makes sense. And they also added end cap enchantment items like the Golden Bounty and a Beginner's Guide to Pest Hunting to the ultra rare book pool. They've also added the various different dyes to the RNG meters, so you have like Jade dye, Mocha dye, Brick Red, etc. You can get pretty much all of these in the RNG meter, and we'll be going in game to talk about those. Also, lastly, you can now get Luck 6, Looting 4, and Scavenger 4, and you can get those at Inery now instead of from the rare book loot pool. Opening up the RNG meter and heading over to the experimentation table section, we can see pretty much all of the enchantments that you can get. The tier 6s, or the rare equivalents, are at 150,000 in terms of the amount of XP you need, and the ultra rare ones are at 500,000. So as you can see, I have 19,000 experimental XP. I got about 2,000 from doing the minigame before. It wasn't a crazy good run, but it wasn't a terrible one either, so that's what you can reasonably expect. Also, as you can see, Titanic experience bottles are a lot less, same with the metaphysical serum, Experiment the Fish, Respite 3 is at the normal price, and pretty much everything is at the normal price too. Golden Bounty, by the way, is counted as an ultra rare item, so that is the 500k. I believe the Beginner's Guide to Pest Hunting is also counted in that tier, so keep that in mind. Heading over to the Slayer sections, we can also see pretty much all of the dyes. They're counted as 75 million progress needed in order to get them, but for Sangria dye, you only need 750,000, which is, reasonable. If I also go over to the Catacombs section, you can see that there's Necron dye here, which you need 4.1 million for, and there's also Livid dye, which you only need 97,000 for. This is kind of interesting. I personally believe this to be a bug. I would not be shocked if it didn't release like this. But yeah, Livid dye is here at 97,000. That was about as good as I can get. Actually, no, there we go. We got another one too. Awesome. All right, as you can see, pretty much all of it was just XP here. So keep that in mind. All right, the rewards were 911,000 XP. And if I go back to my RNG meter, now I have 19,258. So is it what? That seems like it's 1,000,000 is 2,000 XP. 1,000,000 enchantment XP is equivalent to about 2,000 experimental XP, which I guess by that logic means it would take you a while to get something like this. Although, keep in mind, if you wanted to get one of these, you'd be able to, set your RNG meter to drop it, and then you get a higher chance. So now it's at 2.5%, which I guess is a little better. This next section is pretty interesting. They've added a new location to the Dwarven Railroad system, the abandoned quarry. They've also added a new pure ore, which can be found within the quarry called Dwarven Quartz. They've added a new early game sea creature, the Mithril Grubber. It can be fished up starting at level 6, and when killed, it drops varying amounts of mithril powder, depending on whether the grubber was small, medium, large, or bloated. They've added an Abaphone contact for Bryn Mawr. This can be obtained by bringing him the Speckled Teacup, an item fished up as a treasure in the abandoned quarry. They've added a new NPC, Bowman, to the Dwarven Tavern. You can talk to him, and he basically talks about the quarry. They've also added a new NPC, the new guard for the abandoned quarry. As you can see, Bowman is definitely having an amazing time sitting on this table and just going absolutely crazy. If you click on him, he basically talks about the quarry, which you can access by going over to the railroad system right here and getting a minecart. It does cost quite a bit, so keep that in mind, but off we go. Once you're over at the abandoned quarry, we can see that it's not a very huge area, just including one little section and the fishing area down below. This is where you'll get your mithril grubbers. If you head outside the area, though, we can see it connects to some main areas within the Dwarven Mines. If I head up this side, for example, you can see that it connects over to the upper mines. There's also another connection from the other area. If I fly over this way, take this little railroad thing by the Far Reserve, you can see it also connects to the abandoned quarry right above the fishing area. If I go into my sea creature guide, you can also see that there is some references to the mithril grubber, and he does have a bestiary as well. So if I go there and go to the fishing section, we can see, hold on, if I can find him, there he is. We can see what they actually drop. The base tier one basically just gives you 50 to 250 mithril powder. The medium one gives you 250 to 500, the large one gives you 500 to 1000, and the bloated one gives you 1000 to 5000. And on the sides of this area is where you would normally see a bunch of the quartz. However, it seems like alpha is being alpha, and there's no quartz to be found. Next up, we have the small pest patch with a bunch of new additions and quality of life features. Notably, they've added the cloak, the necklace, and belt to Pest Hunter's wares. This is just new stuff that you can get. They've also added NPC sell prices to the wriggling larva at 250,000, and the squeaky mouse mat has gone from 100,000 to 1 million. They've also added the squeaky mouse mat to the museum. In terms of quality of life and balancing, they added a release all button to pest traps, which is pretty cool. They've also made it so that you can't use swords in the garden, which includes things like the Derailious axe. Sorry to people who were doing that. They've adjusted the strawberry dyes drop chance from all crops to 1 in 50 million. They've buffed the dung dyes drop chance from field mice to 1 in 50,000. They've also made it so the field mouse now gives 1.5x the amount of crop drops as other pests. And they've basically made some changes and shifted around a bunch of numbers in terms of the pest spawn cooldown. The optimal pest CDR setup now looks like this, which by the way isn't accurate at all because they have gloves listed twice and they have Pest Hunter's bet, whatever that is. I assume they meant the necklace, the belt, the gloves, the vest, the squeaky reforge, and the pest eradicator perk, leading to a 65% pest cooldown reduction. Oh yeah, post-editing here, I just wanted to say real quick, the nerf to pest hunting, or pests in general, is really, really bad at the moment. The amount of pests you're able to get is way lower than on main, and I imagine that it's either not intentional, or the admins just didn't realize how much they were lowering the numbers by. Hopefully within the next week we see some results on this. I will definitely be campaigning for these numbers to be at least partially reverted. I think a minor nerf might have been somewhat necessary, but this is massive. It's like a 50 to 60% reduction in the amount of pests you're able to get, which is not fair, especially to Iron Man players, so do keep that in mind. Oh yeah, and for reference, before people lose their minds, yes, I am right. You cannot use your Derailious axe in the garden anymore. It is not counted as a farming. As you can see here in the Pest Hunter's Wares menu, we can see the full set of equipment associated with it. Lastly, we have a bunch of other changes and bug fixes. Notably, they've added a new secret achievement to the Rift. They restore the player's health after fighting Sun Gecko. They added skill experience for mining and farming resources in the Rift. They fixed chrono pickaxes not working on living metal ore despite claiming to. They fixed breaking living metal ores with the wrong tool spawning unminable blocks around it. They added a combo counter in the action bar for puffs in the Rift. They reduced the loot share from puffs from 100% down to 10%. They fixed trophy fish chance not working as intended, which basically means that if you were unable to get it before by not having any trophy fish chance at all, well, now you can. They've also added a new item, which I'll show off, the Terra Shell Necklace, to prevent trophy fish from being caught while wearing the item. They've made it so the lava immunity effect of Ember Armor has been added to Magma Lord Armor, which I know will make a lot of people very, very happy. The radioactive vials drop chance has been increased by quite a bit, from 0.3% to 0.5%. They reworked Habanero Tactics, and by the way, I'll just say it, it's not very good still. They fixed bow shots increasing stacks on Crimson Armor. Magic damage now increases stacks on Hollow Armor, They reduced the particles of various mobs in the Crimson Isle, and they fixed being able to increase stacks on Crimson Armor by hitting another player. There's also some bug fixes here, but they're not the biggest deals in the world. So here's the Terra Shell necklace. As you can see, it's a bunch of red sand cubes and also mycelium cubes and a little bit of gazing pearls, and as you can see, you can no longer catch trophy fish while wearing this necklace. It actually doesn't have terrible stats either, so that's pretty interesting. Also, if I go over to Hab Tactics, or just Hab, we can see that it got a little bit of a change. You'll deal more damage with Slayer weapons, you'll gain combat wisdom with Slayer weapons, and you'll heal more from wands. I still don't think this is that crazy though, especially considering how strong Legion is as a perk. I imagine some people might want to use this, but is it really worth it? I don't personally know. I would love to see this continue to get developed and continue to get changed, but please leave your thoughts down below. Overall, Skyblock 21.1 seems to be a very solid addition to the game, including a lot of features players have been requesting for a very long time now. Personally, I'm most excited about the Experimentation Table RNG meter and the new area within the Dwarven Mines. Hopefully, though, we don't get another mining update anytime soon, looking at the Glaciite fishing update. At the end of the day, though, my name's Derailious. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.